Hey guys, I'm Sarah and welcome to my channel. As you can see, we're in a different location today. I thought I'd change it up. Yes, we are inside my closet. Yes, I do have a bookcase in my closet. It's very handy. If you have a large enough closet and you have a small enough bookcase, you can have another one in your closet for more books because we always need more books. Yeah, anyways, I'm here to do my April reading wrap-up and kind of give an update on something I've decided to do with my wrap-ups. I read 28 books this month, so this is the part of a lot of them were manga. So, because I do plenty of other things in my life, I just don't just read. But I read a lot of manga and stuff, that's beside the point. My point is for this part of the video to say I'm gonna be changing my recent reads wrap-up type thing a little bit. I'm not going to do monthly wrap-ups since I read typically so many books. I'm going to do just recent reads wrap-up. I'm going to split it up as to when I read 8 books or manga or anything else I'm reading at the time. I will then film a recent reads video. That way they're fresher on my mind because some of these ones I've read back at the beginning of the month. Kind of some of the details of things that I liked or disliked about them have slipped a little bit, and you know, I may not just talk about the things that previously I might have wanted to talk about before, so I'm going to be changing that a little bit and just doing them more frequently. So yeah, that's the update on that. So yeah, I guess I will just jump right into the books that I have read. Some of these are big long series. I'm not going to be talking about all the series because obviously I have 28 books to get through. And another for series, if I like have continued a series from like the previous month or something, I'm not going to give spoilers for anything. So that said, the first manga series I finished was a continuation from last month, and I read volumes 5 through 15 of Library Wars. Oh, that's a bad glare. There we go. That's very sorry about that. There we go. That's the problem with doing screens in the windows right over there. Anyways, I finished Library Wars. This is the cover for volume 10. Yes, this is kind of a, I'm calling it dystopian. I don't really know if it's categorized as that. I think it's categorized as sci-fi, but I don't have it as such because to me sci-fi is like spaceships or scientific stuff, and they don't have that in here. But Library Wars is basically a manga series about in a near future in Japan there is censorship on books, and there's a whole like governmental committee that tries to basically take away books by force and destroy them and stuff. So the library forces in regional areas of Japan have banded and kind of created their own task force and military basically to protect their collections so that people can have freedom to read what they want. So, and we follow our main character, Iku, that is the girl here, on the girl right here, yeah. We follow her as she joins the task force as the first woman task force officer, soldier, I'm not really sure the technical term, and it's her and her friends' adventures as they try to fight against censorship in Japan. So it's really good. I gave all the volumes 5 stars. Yeah, I didn't give any of them 4. I gave every single one of them from 1 to 15 5 stars. It is a complete series at 15, so you don't need to worry about it being ongoing or anything like that. It was super fun, super cute. I really also liked the discussions of censorship and giving writers the freedom to write, and because that becomes a very big issue near the end of the series when I think it's volume 11, I want to say. Yeah, I think no, it's not volume 11, probably volume 12. One of the media censorship committee, the NBC, I forget their full name, but the ones for censorship, they were going after a particular author, and he had to go on the run, and then the Iku, I don't know how to say her name, and her friends have to protect him. And basically, so they talked a little bit about like authors having the freedom to write what they feel led to write and what they should, and it's just, I really liked all the discussion around it. Also, the very slow burn romance between Iko and Dojo is really cute. I really liked it, so yes, 5 stars for that series from me. Okay, the next book I read, which at least the first novel I finished, is a very interesting one. Didn't really think this was a thing before, and that is Dark is the Night by Mirriam Neal. This is a indie, self-published, whichever term you use, Christian paranormal book, which is a very interesting genre. Basically, and by paranormal, I mean vampires and werewolves. Yeah, and humans, and basically just dealing with that. And it's very interesting. Basically, the one of the main characters, Skada, I believe is how you say his name, he is hunting down this vampire for reasons that we don't learn till later on in the book. And he ends up in Salvation, South Carolina, I think it is, where he ends up like coming across this entire basically war between being launched on Salvation, which is a town, a small town, and basically this war of werewolves keep showing up and attacking people, and they don't know why. There's also a few vampires living in the town, and he ends up befriending one of them named Angel. And then we also, one of the other main characters is a pastor, like, slash werewolf hunter, I guess. I mean, he doesn't really actively do it, but yeah, and it's just, they're trying to protect this town, and just all chaos goes loose. This book was really good. I ended up giving it 4 stars. There is some language in it. I do have these marked in my content section of my reviews because I review every single book that I read, and they do have some harder language. There's like no F-bombs and no I don't know if the S word is in there, but I forget. But yeah, they had some other ones that I marked it medium to hard language. Most of the swearing I put in there is like mild. The word for an illegitimate son is the kind of the cross line between medium and mild swearing for me, just so you know. But yeah, and there's a lot more violence. It's not detailed, but it is detailed slightly that, you know, if you get any bit squeamish, you might be wary of it. It is talking about vampires after all. And a vampire does attack a human on the page, but it's not detailed. So just keep that in mind. But obviously, if you're squeamish about blood and stuff, you probably shouldn't be reading a vampire book anyways. Yes, I ended up really liking it. One of the main characters, Skada, I had some issues with. I really liked our main vampire character, Angel. I really liked him. He was just hilarious. He was funny. He was just so sarcastic, and I really, really liked him. Just his wit, like the things he would just come up with to say in this time of need, and it's just like, yeah. I also liked the preacher Colton. He was my other favorite character. I really liked his perspective too, and how like he still wants to, you know, save people and bring them to Jesus and stuff, but he's also not afraid to, if a werewolf or something, or a vampire or something like that is attacking people, he's not afraid to kill them either. So he's a very interesting preacher. Which they kind of mention in the book. It's like, I'm surprised by the preacher. But yeah. And I really liked it. It's definitely selective taste, so do your research on it, because, you know, not everybody jams with the vampires and werewolves, and this one also has Christian elements to it. Obviously the preacher, and then she has other Christian things woven in and stuff. There is a controversial issue I noticed on reviews that a lot of people were talking about this, or at least 1 to 2. There is a question whether vampires can be saved or not, like, can become Christians or not. And I don't know exactly where I stand on that, because obviously vampires aren't real, so it's like, okay, it might be plausible, but I do like the questions it brings up, which I do mention this in my review. of that, you know, for non-Christians who read the book, they may be like, oh, you know, if a blood-sucking vampire can be saved from their sin, you know, maybe my sins aren't so bad and I can be saved too. So I like the conversation that brings up. Whether a technical vampire or not can be saved, considering I don't think vampires have souls. I don't know that much about vampire lore, so don't quote me on that. But, yes, I do like the questions it brings up, and it may help people, you know, being on the fence about being saved or not. It may help them, you know, determine if they are worthy or not, which all people are worthy, obviously. But I mean, none of us are worthy, but I hope you know what I mean by that. Jesus thinks we're worthy, even though we're not. There we go. So, yes. So, yeah, I like the questions that one brings up, and it was really good, really well written. Just be mindful if you're not into much swearing and slight kind of blood and stuff like that. Okay, this is also actually supposed to be a series. Technically, only one book is out. It does end well, but the epilogue does leave you questioning what's going to happen next. I do hope the author keeps writing this series because I really enjoyed it, and I would really like to see where it goes from here. Okay, so the next book, let's see, Library Wars, I already talked about that. Okay, so the next book, if this thing would work, I swear these things don't work. Okay, I'm going to talk about this book because it's right here. And I technically didn't read this book. I DNF'd it. I had it on my new books to read pile, which is this pile here. It's very small right now because I have a bunch of them out there in the actual room. But yeah, this one, and it's The School for Good and Evil. You've probably seen it around by Soman Chainani, maybe? Maybe that's how you say his name. Yeah. And it is basically, it's a middle grade book about like turning fairy tales on their heads type of thing. And it's like these good and evil schools where they teach kids to be fairy tale heroes or fairy tale villains. Okay. I technically did not read this book. I just started flipping through it out of curiosity. And I noticed right away the characters were all insufferable. And it was just like, okay, is this like a character or anything? So I looked further. And it was just, no, this book is not for me. The characters are basically all terrible people. Even the good people are terrible. There's murky realities between, like, good and evil. There's no clear, hard lines drawn. The concept is really cool. Like, you know, schools teaching people how to be fairy tale villains or fairy tale heroes, which is why I picked it up. Because it sounded really interesting, but it's just not that. Not to mention there's some wacky, weird, like, twist on things of like these two, because the main characters are two girls and they are best friends, but then one of them kisses another while she's supposedly dead. I don't know what type of message the author's trying to do with this one, but I have heard very mixed things on this series, and yeah, it just kind of icked me out, so I got rid of the book. So I unhauled that. And yeah, do not recommend. I mean, if you want to try it for yourself, go right ahead, but I don't think it's any good. And the characters were all just insufferably awful to each other. And yeah. And it also wasn't written in omnipotent point of view. Whatever, that word. Which is kind of like head hopping, and it's not my favorite. Some books can do it fine and I'm okay with it, but this one did not, so that just added another element I didn't like. So, would not recommend that one. Okay. Would this thing work? Oh, goodness. Okay. And I might as well just talk about all these at one time since I finished them. I also finished the Gallagher Girls series here. I have one of the books still. I got rid of the others. But, I read, let's see, what number? Okay. Books 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the series. The third one is Don't Judge a Girl by Her Cover. The fourth one, if I can find it. If you've seen the series, you probably know what it is. But Only the Good Spy Young is number 4. And the stupid thing won't work again. This is really annoying. Book 5 is Out of Sight, Out of Time. And book 6 is United We Spy. I finished all of these. I gave book 3 2 stars, and books 4, 5, and 6, 3 stars. I enjoyed the series overall. I did like the idea of a spy school and people learning how to, you know, be spies and stuff like that. I did enjoy that part. The writing, I think, is a little on the younger of the YA side, which is, I think I've just not really outgrown it, but I don't always like it as much, depending on the book. And sometimes elements of the books would be thrown in and then not explained why they were there. Like, there's this particular character called Catherine. I'm not going to say who she is in case you read the series. If you have read the series, you know who I'm talking about. She's literally thrown in she's introduced in the 3rd book, but we don't actually get a name for her until the 4th one, I think. And there's really no reason as to why she has a grudge against the Galadrick Academy, and there's nothing about that. A lot of that happened. Or the fact that, one girl, or one man and a woman are, like, romantically interested, or they're, like, dating or something. It's not clear. And then, but also, the kids related to them in certain ways, I'm trying not to say spoilers, are also dating. So it's kind of like, so if the adults get married, they're then dating each other's cousin? I don't know, that was weird. I didn't like that element. That was just another thing thrown in there, and it was like, why is this here? That was thrown in the last book, United We Spy, and I just kind of thought, why? I mean, we're at the end of the series. Why are we throwing this in and not getting an explanation further? And yeah, I don't know. I did enjoy the series overall. I like the characters enough. The 5th book I did kind of skim read because I thought Cammie's friends were being a little annoying. I mean, they were being a little too harsh for what Cammie was going through in that book, and I don't know. I liked the way the amnesia trope was handled in that book. I just didn't like all that, so it kind of left me a bad taste in my mouth. I was getting a reading slump from trying to read it, so I just skipped it. I mean, I skimmed to the end, and that was about it. So I didn't get full details on, like, content and stuff like that for my review. So overall, I did like the Galadrick Girls series. Would I keep the books? No. Would I read them again? No. And I'm probably not going to try anything else by Allie Carter, because I tried one of her other books too, and I was just kind of meh about it. A lot of the concepts, they sound great in the blurb, but then I read it and it doesn't, like, transfer as exciting or whatever as the blurb makes it out to be. So yeah, that's just my opinion. These are still perfectly well written books. They're just not really for me anymore. So okay, so the next book, let me look at my notebook of order of things. And okay, so the next book I read was, I finally read Where Giants Fall, which is a fantasy short story anthology about light in the darkness and hope and stuff like that. And I actually have a story published in this. It's, if you're curious, it's called What the Darkness Fears, and it's by Sarah Ryder, which is me. But yes, I finally read this and loved it. All the stories are amazing. They're really, really good. I gave this book 5 stars. It's just fantastic. If you need, like, to feel, you know, if you're feeling down or something, you need to realize that hope exists, I would highly recommend this one. I would also recommend, because along the same lines, I read this anthology, which is Warriors Against the Storm. It's along the same lines. It's a much thinner book, but yeah. This is another short story anthology, which also kind of tackles the whole light in the darkness and hope. So these two are very, very similar in that manner. And yes, both of these have wonderful stories. I gave both of these 5 stars. They're both amazing. I would highly recommend it. This one also has sci-fi, a couple like paranormal type stories, and one dystopian type one, also with fantasy. Sorry, I can't talk. This one is just strictly fantasy. So, yeah, if you like short stories and anthologies, I would highly recommend these two. And no, I'm not recommending Where Giants Fall just because I'm in it. I mean, I would love it if you loved my story, but, you know, it's not a requirement, because all the stories in here are great, but, you know. just to be funny. No, that is not why I'm recommending it. Okay, so, and the next one I read was one of my rereads for the month. I've read a couple others, but yeah, I'll get to those. And that is an old childhood favorite of mine. That is Starstruck by Eli B. Toresen. This is also a translated work. I think it's translated from German, possibly. They only have the German version on Goodreads, so that's why if you look up Starstruck for this one, it won't come up. But, yes, this is part of the Mystery Vacation series. It's that, Steubenfeld Pony Book Club used to do a while ago. I've read some of the other books already, and this one, they use, like, photographs to help tell the story. And it's really fun. I always really liked this one. It's basically, a couple of girls go to a riding camp, and where also a movie star and his horse are there for the summer, and suddenly he starts receiving mysterious threats against his horse for not signing his next movie, or to warn him not to sign his next movie. So that's the basic premise of this. This mystery is pretty simple, pretty basic, but it's still well written, and you can kind of follow the clues, which some mysteries for younger readers I've noticed don't do that. So, yeah, this one's still really good. And I gave it 4 stars. I mean, younger me would give it 5 stars, but it does still kind of have, it's on the younger side, so 4 stars. Okay. Wow, this video is going to be longer. So the next book I read was my ebook for the month, and that is Unworthy by Vanessa Hall. This is the second book in her Grace Sufficient series. This book just came out. It is a Christian suspense thriller. I guess you could call it romantic suspense thriller. I'm not really sure. This one could have mild triggers for depression and suicide. So keep that in mind if you do want to read this book. Yes, and I thought it was really good. We're following 2 characters from the first that were briefly, actually one had a slightly larger part in the first book, which is unknown, and the other character was to kind of just mention at the end, and we're following their journeys as they're overcoming difficulties in their past and feelings of unworthiness and stuff, and whether God can truly love them and things like that. It's pretty good. I gave it a 4.5 stars. Unknown, I gave a 5-star. I really loved that book. There were just a few elements in this one I didn't connect with as well. One of the main characters, Sasha, I did not connect with her very well. Like, I felt for her situation and all, but I didn't fully mesh with her. She just had some things about her that I was just kind of like, about. The other main character, Evangi, I believe is how you say his name, I connected with him a lot more, but he also suffers with depression and stuff like that, which I also have, so I really related to him on that level. Yes, the other issue I had was a character, quits kind of doing, character is a side character who is one of the main characters in the first book, decides not to do ballet anymore, and it's not fully explained why, and it's almost written in a way that says dance is bad for Christians to do, which is not the case, because God can do beautiful things through us watching dance, and I don't know, it just wasn't explained as much as I wanted to, but that character who was going through that was not the main focus of the story, so that might be why. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. The suspense part is really done really well. The action scenes, really great. The climactic part was definitely my favorite part of the book. So not as good as the first one, in my opinion, but I still really enjoyed it. Let's see, the next book. Okay, I don't have either of these books, but I can show you the cover of one of them. The other one, Goodreads, doesn't have the cover, so I DNF'd another book, which was Trouble at the Riding Camp. It was kind of a first book to Starstruck. That one kind of overlaid one of the main characters, Shannon. Shannon is the main character in this one. Her first Summer at this writing camp that she returns to in this book. But that one, it was too long. It was too immature, and I only had read that one once, The Trouble at the Writing Camp. For those reasons, I just didn't like it. And also, there was a situation where the bullying was escalating to, it was gonna harm Shannon's horse, and one of the only other nice character in that book kind of gave her advice like, oh, you shouldn't, be chased off because then, you'll regret it or whatever. And then I'm thinking, that's great advice if it's just mild bullying to me as a human. But this is like now progressing to, it's gonna harm my horse. No, that's not smart. We should not be portraying that he's an innocent animal. He doesn't know what is going on. And Shannon obviously can't protect him. Nobody is listening to her. And it's just, I didn't like that messaging because it's very dangerous, in my opinion. And yeah, I just didn't like it. I didn't like how bratty the characters all were and how it was all just kind of brushed off at the end. Not to mention, it was way too long. Most of these books, I have noticed the two I did not like were actually the longest ones in the series, which is kind of funny. The other books are around 80 to 90 some pages, or are they just around 80? Like, how long is this one? Yeah, they're only around like 70, 80 pages each, the rest of the books in the series. Trouble at the Writing Camp, and the next one, which is Summer Vacation, which is kind of a ridiculous title considering that's the title of the series, but whatever. It was the last one they did. That one, they both were longer. They were like 90 to 100 pages, which was just, it's too long in my opinion for the amount of nonsense we have. And the problem I had with Summer Vacation was, it used to be a favorite of mine when I was younger. I used to really like this one. I gave this one 2 stars and unhauled it along with Trouble at the Writing Camp. It was, again, with the omniscient point of view, head hopping, too much of it. There were way too many characters. We couldn't focus on any of them. The mystery was fine, but also, like, I don't know. They did figure it out, but then they didn't tell us. It's like there were no clues at all. It was just kind of like there were a couple, and one of them was just something that the villain said stupidly. Like, nobody's going to say that. Even a villain. I mean, it was just kind of convenience sake. Also, there were also way too many past events that people talked about that were only there to give clues, and it's like, why couldn't we somehow do it in the present time that we're in? And yeah, it was just too convoluted, and I don't know, it's just a lot of stuff distracted, and I just didn't care for it anymore. It would probably be fine for a younger reader or someone who doesn't read a lot, but for me, who, reads 28 books a month, it's a little too immature for my taste, and I just didn't like it anymore. Okay, let's see. Well, we might as well just go with the last one, which is... Alright. Well, I'll just do these quickly. I also read a couple of short stories that come free when you sign up for the author's newsletters. I read Feather Nettle by H.S. J. Williams. This is a retelling of The Wild Swans, which is a Grimm's Brother fairy tale. It was good. It followed the fairy tale very well. I gave it 4 stars. It's gender bent too. So, like, the main character who does things is a girl in the original tale. It's now a boy in this one. So, it was only like 17 pages. It was really good. It felt like a fairy tale, classic fairy tale feel, but with a modern edge to it. And the characters were all pretty fleshed out, even though, it's a short story. So, not much to say about that one. The next one I have is Seaglass by Kara Swanson. This also becomes free when you sign up for her e-newsletter. I really liked this one. I gave it 5 stars. This one is just, it's kind of an allegory, in a sense, of, like, discovering what's most important in life, and it just really affected me, really moved me, and I really enjoyed it. Also, can't say too much, it's only 20 pages. So, yeah, it's really good. And the other book I have briefly to talk about is The Search for the Sundrop, and this is part of the Tales of Rapunzel series, which is kind of like a chapter book series. It's basically taking a couple episodes from the Tangled the series, Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure TV series, and novelizationing meant. Writing it in novel form, whatever that meant. I didn't like this. Mainly because the cover is the title is very misleading. It's too close to the finale episode of season 1, which is called The Secret of the Sundrop. I thought it would be a novelization of that episode, considering it's 45 minutes, could easily fit in this. No, they basically focused on the 2 episodes beforehand. Not very well, in my opinion, but again, might work for a younger reader, just not for me, who really loves the series and stuff like that. I mean, I don't love it as much as the movie, but that's a rant for another time. Yes, so I just didn't like this. Basically, they focused on the 2 episodes beforehand, and then they did smash the 45-minute episode into, like, 5 pages. And it was lame. So, yeah, 2 stars for this one, which is sad. I do collect Tangled books, but, yeah, this was just sad, and will not be keeping it. Okay, just wanted to do that. And the other series, let's see. I think that's the... Yes, okay. And the last one I have to talk about is the other manga series I read this month, which was Orange. Here's the cover for Omnibus 1, and I have Omnibus 2. This is kind of a contemporary manga, but with a time travel twist. Basically, Naho is one of the main characters. Naho, she's pretty much the main character, but whatever. She receives a letter her junior year of high school from her future self, 10 years in the future, telling her to befriend this boy. Oh, I have to say his name. Kateru? Kateru? I'm not really sure. I don't speak Japanese. This boy in her school, and she's giving her directions. Future Naho is giving her past Naho directions to befriend him and ultimately save his life. So these letters have time traveled, and they're basically directing this friend group to save Kateru. I don't know how to say his name. This was really good. The first omnibus, they do come in omnibus form. I don't think you can get them any other way. I liked the first one. It was more kind of like high school drama with a little bit of sprinkling of the whole time travel element and saving him and stuff like that. I gave that one 4 stars. This one I gave 5 stars because we get more into the nitty-gritty of actually saving him and the friends coming together to do that. And I still tear up looking through this book because as someone who has gone through a lot of the similar things that are mentioned in here, it's just heartbreaking and ultimately beautiful the way it ends. I don't want to give anything away but yes, literally it's just great, and I would highly recommend this series. Yes, there is a bonus like short story manga at the end of this one. I didn't care for it. I only gave it 2 stars. It was just kind of creepy, if you ask me, because one of the guys portrayed in it was kind of a stalker, but it was portrayed as cute, and I'm just like, that's not cute. So Orange is great. I kind of wish the bonus manga at the end had been Orange Future, which is technically the last volume, but my library doesn't have it, so I can't read it. But yeah, anyways, I really liked this series, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, this video is way long enough. Okay, hopefully this doesn't take 20 million hours to upload when I do upload this. So this is why I'm going to be cutting down my recent reads videos to 8 books a month. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know down below in the comments what books you guys have read recently, or just one. And if any of these books sounded interesting. Also, if you have any video ideas you'd like me to do in the future, please leave those down below too, and I'll consider them. I am planning on doing maybe a bookshelf tour of this one and maybe that one out there, along with a few other things, but I'm always open for ideas if you guys have any. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!